everyone, it's Tammy Klinger here, also known as Artie Tambarambaa, and thanks so much for joining me on my YouTube channel today. So today I'm creating another Art by Marlene page, which you're having a look at here, and boy did this one go through a process. So I had all these intentions and thoughts of how I was going to do it, and some of them I completely forgot about, and I think that was because I got so into the process and so involved in the page and just forgot about everything else. And I think that's one of the beauties of art journaling. So I've basically taken a page out of my artist size art journal, and I will link all the products in the comments, so you can go and have a look for them in the comments. And yeah, so I grabbed a piece of the some collage paper out of the Marlene's World Art by Marlene book, and this was just, I had a bit of scrap left over and I love the colours, so I thought, yep, I'll grab that. So I tore it in half and just stuck it on using the sticky glue. And now what I'm doing is just coming in, as I do with my the acrylic paints, and trying to sort of recreate what Marlene has started. So I love that with Marlene's papers, she's so arty, and I just love her colours and the way she creates patterns. So let her do the hard work. So that's basically what I do, is I just start to bring some of the colours that are in the background of those papers out. So there's quite a bit of pink, so I've used Ballet. Then there's some Mermaid, which is the aqua colour, and that darker bit I've just popped in is called Azure. So I'm just popping a little bit of that as well, and I can see that I used a little bit of Happy, which is the yellow, and Ho Ho Ho, which is that orange. Now I've purposely left a couple of white spots. Well, I've just covered that one up with pink. So that is a softer pink, and I created that by mixing it with the white paint, which is lace. So I do try and be mindful to have a couple of patches of a lighter colour, because it can get really busy otherwise. But what I'm doing to tie, basically just with a dry brush, I added down the paint, and now I'm coming in with Azure, which is that beautiful deep teal, and a stencil of Marlene's that she designed a long time ago called Botanical Dream, which is a Crafters Workshop stencil. But she has so many stencils that have sort of those floralies and those gorgeous patterned backgrounds, so any of those would work. So now what I did is I popped on some of that deep Azure, and then I rub it off through the stencil, and it leaves behind that beautiful pattern, and I just love it over that pink. And then I did the same. I think what had happened is I covered up all of the white, and I didn't want to. So to bring a bit of white back in, I repeated the process, adding down some white paint and pulling some of it off with the baby wipe. So you can see you're sort of left with that, pulls the whole page together. And so while this is drying, sorry, I can't seem to find my words today, I've come in with one of the beautiful pages from Marlene's scrap paper. This one just caught my eye with those big bold blossoms, and I love the colours, and I'm not sort of very good at using red, so I thought, right, let's go with that paper because it's got a bit of the red. So I basically cut around so that it would sit along, I'm imagining it being along the top of my page, and then the background behind it. So I cut little bits off, but it's basically all the hard work's done for you. Just sort of fussy cut a bit of it out, and it just sits beautifully across your page. So now what I'm basically trying to do is bring this all together. Now this is the bit where I got a bit stuck, and it was basically, I'm added in some of that red. As I said, I'm not very confident using red, but I thought it's interesting for you to see the whole process and the layers that this goes through. So I've tried a bit of red in the background. I end up taking that out because I don't like it, but I think the part of layering with art journaling is you always get a little bit of something peeking through, so it just creates depth and a bit of interest. And even if you couldn't tell there's red there, it has added to the layers that are on the page. So I've come in with some mark making as well, and every now and then I go and grab that bit of paper and I hold it back over my work and have a look. And I'm just not absolutely loving it at this point. So I think, right, I'll try a bit more white. I'll get rid of some of that red and orange that I've popped in there, and I'll go back to sort of pinks, yellows and teals. So I keep holding up that the paper and checking how I'm going. I liked it a little bit more, but I decided that I've got too much bold colour. I really love the bold tealy colour, but I feel like I've got too much of that really bright pink. So I've mixed that pink, which is the Ballet, with the lace, which is the white, and added more of that in. Then when I held the paper up, I felt like I needed a bit more yellow just so there wasn't yellow in just one spot. So I had it in a couple of spots. So I've added in a bit of yellow. And then I've realised that with that green that's in the collage paper that I used, I didn't really add any green. So that colour is Envy, and I've come in and added just a few mark makings just to replicate what Marlene's got in that paper. So now I'm just using the sticky glue to stick it down. I think I just kind of thought, oh, enough's enough. Just stick the damn thing down and then start working with that background. So that's what I basically did. And once it was actually down on my page, I think I could look at it from a bit more of a distance and thought, right, I can make this come together. So what I've done, I do really like that I've added some more lighter pink and some white in there. And so just to sort of really highlight that, I wanted to create a lot of depth behind the flowers that I've cut out and added onto the page. So I guess the thing I'm trying to do here is make this look like it's all part of the art and not that it's just been added on. So, so what I've done is with that beautiful Azure, I've mixed it with some water just so it's more like more of a watercolour, and I've just gone around the edges of the flowers and sort of along the top of the page and added it and just let it drip down my page. Now some of those drips I've pretty much decided where they're going to go by just adding a little bit of water and letting it run. So you can, if you do that, your paint will naturally follow that line, so you can control where your drips are going. So I'm still adding a couple more bits, layering up a few of those darker areas, and then I decided to add highlights and depth to the flowers. So I've pulled out Punk, which is that gorgeous neon purple that I use all the time, and you can see I'm adding that into basically around the flowers, basically where Marlene has sort of created shadows with her line work already. I've just gone over that to add more depth and a bit more colour. And then I've used the same paint to just add some little mark makings against the page into the background as well. So I'm trying to leave alone that softer bit and just work around that area. So now I've come in with a black. First of all, I used a black paint pen and went around some of the lines of the flowers just to create, I guess, make them stronger. Some of them, I'm not a very good fussy cutter, so I'd cut off the edge of some of them. So I recreated those. And then I've also come in with a Stabilo All pencil and basically gone around most of the edges to create more shadows. So create a shadow around the flowers, and this will then push that background into the back, and it will push it backwards and bring the flowers forward because it creates a little bit of line work and shadow work. So I'm also doing that to some of the creating a bit of the Stabilo All into the center of some of the flowers just for that depth again. And I just keep doing this. This is where I really lose myself in the process. And initially I thought that I would use one of Marlene's new stamps and perhaps just use the leaves and add leaves to this. But I got so involved in this process, I completely forgot all about that. But as I said, that's part of the process. It's really about losing yourself, about blocking all those other thoughts out that come into your head and just enjoying being in the space of colour and art and creativity. So now I've come in with the white lace paint and added a few dots to the centre of the blooms, and I actually do come in with some of the gold paint. So I've used the gold paint to add some gold to the sunflower petals, and that gives them a beautiful little sheen. It's really lovely. And then I also do come in with the glitter glue and add a bit of gold glitter glue to the center of those sunflowers again, and when that dries it just gives a really lovely finish as well. So you probably won't be able to see it in the video, but hopefully in some of the close-up photos you'll be able to see that. So now I decide to add in the quote, and I've decided to use black just because it's going into that white background, and because I've got quite a bit of black around the edging of my flowers. So I have found the quote, "We are all making it up as we go along," and I just felt like that is how this page felt, because it's all very quick. I'm very fast on camera, but it probably took me over an hour to maybe an hour and 20 minutes to create this page, and that's quite a long time for me. I tend to sort of spend under an hour generally on a page. Yeah, so this is where I'm now adding a bit more depth to the flowers. So I've come in with the red paint, which is Ho Ho Ho, and spruced up that red flower. And it really is just a matter of adding more and more colours until you're happy and you feel like it's all become part of the page. So here's the finished piece of art. You might be able to see I've added a few splats of gold paint into the background. I covered up the flowers to do that, and I'm really, really happy with it. You know, it went through a big process, but we got there. So thank you so much for joining me. As you know, I love reading your comments, so I'd love to hear from you. Bye.